In the annals of ancient history, the clash between Athens and Sparta stands as a testament to the complexities of human civilization, where ideology and warfare intertwined to shape the destinies of city-states. These two formidable powers, each a beacon of its own values, emerged from the same Hellenic cradle, yet charted vastly different courses, leading to a rivalry that would echo through the ages. Athens, a city of philosophers, artists, and thinkers, was the cradle of democracy and intellectual pursuit. Its citizens reveled in the arts, celebrating the beauty of the human experience through theater, sculpture, and philosophy. The agora buzzed with discussions on ethics, politics, and the nature of existence, where Socrates, Plato, and later Aristotle would challenge and inspire minds. The Athenian ideal was one of participation, where citizens, though limited to free men, engaged directly in the governance of their city. The assembly thrived with debate, and the very notion of democracy was a radical departure from the autocratic rule that characterized much of the ancient world. In stark contrast stood Sparta, a society forged in the fires of military discipline and austere living. Here, the ideals of strength, honor, and obedience reigned supreme. The Spartan ethos was encapsulated in the agoge, a rigorous education and training regimen that instilled in its citizens the virtues of resilience, loyalty, and martial prowess. From a young age, Spartan boys were molded into warriors, taught to endure hardship and to prioritize the collective over the individual. The Spartan woman, meanwhile, was entrusted with the management of household affairs and the upbringing of future warriors, reflecting a unique social structure where the strength of the state was paramount. The ideological differences between Athens and Sparta were not merely academic. They manifested in the very fabric of their societies and ultimately led to conflict. The rise of Athenian power, particularly after the Persian Wars, fostered a sense of superiority among its citizens. The Delian League, initially formed as a defensive alliance against Persia, transformed into an Athenian empire, with tribute flowing into Athens and bolstering its cultural and military might. This expansionist policy did not sit well with Sparta, which viewed Athens' growing influence as a direct threat to its own way of life and the balance of power in Greece. The tensions simmered, and the spark that ignited the flames of war came with the outbreak of the Peloponnesian War in 431 BC. This conflict was not merely a struggle for territory. It was a battle of ideologies, democracy against oligarchy, individualism against collectivism. As the war unfolded, both city-states employed strategies that reflected their core principles. The Athenians, with their naval supremacy, sought to project power across the Aegean, while the Spartans, relying on their formidable land army, aimed to invade and subjugate their rival. The war dragged on for nearly 3 decades, marked by a series of devastating encounters and shifting alliances. The Athenian strategy hinged on their ability to maintain control of the seas, launching raids and disrupting Spartan supply lines. Yet, the plague that struck Athens in 430 BC, decimating its population and weakening morale, revealed the vulnerabilities of even the mightiest city-state. Pericles, the Athenian leader, had envisioned a war of attrition, but the unforeseen calamity turned the tide, sowing seeds of dissent and despair among the populace. Sparta, recognizing the opportunity presented by Athenian misfortunes, adapted its strategy. With the support of Persia, which sought to destabilize its Greek rivals, Sparta built a formidable navy, challenging Athenian dominance at sea. The Battle of Aegospotami in 405 BC marked a decisive turning point, where the Spartan fleet, under the command of Lysander, delivered a crushing blow to the Athenian navy. The once mighty city of Athens found itself besieged, its walls breached, and its citizens faced the grim reality of defeat. The fall of Athens in 404 BC marked the end of the Peloponnesian War and the ascendance of Sparta as the preeminent power in Greece. Yet victory came at a cost. The Spartan oligarchy imposed a harsh regime on Athens, dismantling its democratic institutions and replacing them with a government of the few. The ideals that had once fueled Athenian pride were cast aside, and the city that had birthed democracy lay subdued under the weight of Spartan rule. However, the Spartan victory was not the culmination of their ideology. The very system that had elevated Sparta to greatness began to reveal its own weaknesses. The rigid social structure, the reliance on a subjugated helot class, and the lack of intellectual growth hampered Spartan society. The ideals of strength and discipline could not sustain a civilization that required adaptability and innovation. In the years that followed, Sparta faced internal strife and external challenges, and the glory of its military might began to fade. Athens, despite its defeat, would eventually rise again. The resilience of its people, coupled with a renewed commitment to the ideals of democracy, allowed the city to rebuild and redefine itself. Philosophers and playwrights returned to the agora, breathing life into a culture that refused to be extinguished. The lessons learned from war and defeat became the foundation for a new Athenian identity, one that embraced both the triumphs and failures of its past. The rivalry between Athens and Sparta, marked by war and ideological conflict, serves as a poignant reminder of the complexities of human nature. It illustrates how the pursuit of power and the clash of ideals can shape the course of history, forging destinies that resonate through time. In the end, both city-states contributed to the rich tapestry of ancient Greece, leaving behind legacies that would inspire generations to come. The story of Athens and Sparta is not merely one of war. It is a narrative of the enduring struggle between competing visions of society, a struggle that continues to echo in the hearts and minds of those who seek to understand the human experience.